Okay, I hope I'm doing this right. Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. Give me 1 second. Let me get comfortable here. We have a few things to talk about. I don't want to do a bunch of like expos unless, I don't know, I have the time to do it, which my time is very limited. So I'm going to kind of do like a three in one deal here. I'm going to talk about, because I received a number of inbox messages. Again, the nonsensical ones I just get rid of. I don't have time to entertain them because I realize you're dealing with reductive people. But the ones that actually want to learn, I will respond to those individuals. So people were asking me about Rick Kittles, Dr. Rick Kittles, and want to know who he was. And I'm going to introduce you to him digitally. He gave an interview to Rock Newman. He's like a socialite, social/political pundit, if you were to say. I don't know his official title, but anyway, he revealed to Rock Newman his ancestry DNA results. And I was just really surprised that Rock was shocked that he has so much European ancestry. I'm like, again, no offense, but you just wonder what planet some people are on. Like, do they actually read, or they just maybe look at photos, illustrations, and draw a conclusion based on that? Like, everyone's different. I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for other people because, we all have our different ways of learning. Some people are more visual, auditory, and performance oriented. Some are 2 out of the 3, 3 out of the 3, or 1 out of 3. Everyone learns differently, right? Then some people learn heuristically. We're all different. But I just find it kind of disappointing that a person of his particular age wouldn't know this stuff. But whatever. It is what it is. I guess, they say that learning is lifelong. So I'm just going to, give him the credit based on that precept. But that doesn't apply to everyone. Younger people, I can understand. But an older gentleman, now he's probably in his 50s, should know better. So that precept does not extend to him in my book. But again, that's just my opinion. So Dr. Kittles owns African ancestry DNA. He's owned it since 2003. Okay. Oh, let me see. What is this here? Oh, okay. He's owned African ancestry DNA since 2003. And it's considered the largest database for maternal, or say matrilineal and patrilineal ancestry from Africa. It's the largest one, or rated as the largest one in America, pretty much the world. And so congratulations, Dr. Kittles, for holding that title. But what I love about Dr. Kittles, because I follow him on Instagram, I think he's incredibly intelligent. He's very exuberant and vivacious. He's a fun guy. I just really enjoy just listening to him. He's highly educated. He has a PhD in molecular biology. And again, he owns African ancestry DNA since 2003. So if it's anyone that has credibility, it would be him. So let me just flip over the camera. And then after this particular episode, we're going to talk about my experiences at GCU, because I'm working on my second master's degree in criminal justice legal studies. And then I want to talk about all the certificates you see right there, and educating people that they're not free, because there's misinformation that's floating around on social media, because I'm a very transparent person, stating that, oh, those certificates are great, but they're free. No, they're not free. So I'm here to prove that is false information. I'm 100% transparent. But we'll talk about that after this video. Let me just take care of this video. So I'm going to flip over. Oops, what is this here? Flip over the camera. Is that glitter? Of course, there's always something when I'm live. All right, so let me flip over the camera. Okay, so let me just let all of you hear what Dr. Kittles says to Rick Newman, or sorry, Rock Newman. Give me 1 second. I hope you can hear it. And of course, my iPad is conflicting with my computer. Hold on. Okay.
With black culture. And, later in my life, more dashikis and kufi. And, I think they have, they have some photos of me, being in Africa.
Okay.
So let's get to my results.
Okay.
I mean, I am.
There's Dr. Kittles right there.
What the real deal is, just what y'all got to say.
So you took all 3 of our tests.
Correct.
The first results that we're going to share with you are your maternal results.
See what mama.
Your mama, exactly. So this would reflect you and your siblings, your mother and her siblings, her mother, her mother, her mother, all the way back at least 500 years. So we're talking about predating the transatlantic slave trade.
Okay, and so is what you showing me her ancestry just African ancestry?
We haven't said what it is yet.
Oh,
it's your maternal ancestry.
Maternal, okay.
It might be African.
Yeah,
it might be European.
Right.
It might be Asian.
This is a segment. This is a segment of your DNA that you have.
Obviously, he's mixed race, but anyway.
You got from your mother, directly from your mother.
Right.
She got directly from her mother and her mother and her mother. So this is just a small part of your entire genome.
Right.
But this is, with good accuracy, we can tell you where that segment came from. And that's what we're about to tell you. Where that segment of DNA.
Ignore my wife's comments from the audience out here that's saying it's alien.
Right. So what, doctor, you did? You came into our office and you did the swabbing, and then we sent the swabs to our lab. The lab unlocked the code, if you will, of your profile that you got from your mother, and then Dr. Kittles and his team did the analysis to look for matching profiles in the world.
Well, let's don't talk about it no more. Let's be about it. Tell me what the first deal is. Tell me tell me about mama.
So maternally, you share ancestry with populations in Europe. Maternally. Europe and also the Near East. So that would be like Lebanon and
So maternally, no African?
Right.
Okay.
On that one branch of your family tree. Not your mother's father's people or your grandmother's father's people, just your mother's people.
All through women on that.
All through women. Okay.
So this certificate outlines that result.
Okay, now it says shares maternal genetic ancestry with European populations belonging to haplogroup J. What does that mean?
So there's different signatures in the DNA, and a haplogroup is a group of related lineages. Everybody has a certain lineage,
okay.
And so we can look at how they evolved. And so there's a group of related lineages that are common in Europe. They're called haplogroup J. That's the group of them.
Okay.
From Spain, Portugal, all the way to Iran.
Okay.
And it is a European lineage. It's not an African lineage.
And one thing about those European lineages that I learned from Dr. Kittles is that they're pretty homogenous. There's not a lot of differences among them, and so that's why we can't tell you specifically Spain or France or wherever. We can only give you that general grouping.
Right. Okay. So for those members I talked to, I said earlier, I got family members who are, down with the cause,
right.
Black Power. Got folks that are absolute Native American and nothing but Native American in my family, and some folks who have lived a life of a culturally white existence.
Right.
So those living a life of a culturally white existence, so far so good for them.
So far so good.
European and holoprop J.
Haplogroup J.
Haplogroup J. A happy group. They are happy group. Okay.
Okay, so that was one branch of your tree.
Okay.
You also took a test to look at another branch of your tree, and this branch goes father to father to father to father. So this would reflect your grandfather or great-grandfather, John the Baptist.
Okay.
This would be his line.
Okay.
So you already had a pretty good idea of what we were going to find there.
That's what I had heard. I just
Right.
didn't know. Okay.
So for that ancestry, we found results among people living in Europe again, in countries like Spain, Portugal, Britain, and the Netherlands. So that one branch of your family tree is definitively European in ancestry as well.
So, European mama, European daddy. I done caught all this hell being black for 64 years, and it's like, and it's hold on. You know, there's some folks out there cheering right now. That's on my side of the family.
If they're on your father's side.
No, I'm saying
Cheering for the
ones that are saying,
truth.
you know,
Not fiction,
Right,
facts.
right.
okay, so people living in Spain, Portugal, Britain, and the Netherlands. So shares paternal genetic ancestry. People living in Spain, Portugal, Britain, and Netherlands. That's what it says right here. Okay, all right.
So
Now
now,
hold on, before we go there. I want some reparations for the hell I done caught.
we got you.
Okay, so so here's my question. So when we went to church, white people sat in the front, light-skinned people sat in the middle, and dark-skinned people sat in the back.
This is in Brandywine.
This is in Brandywine.
Okay.
So I should have been sitting up front.
Well, so I want to make sure you understand. Let's just look at your 4 grandparents. There are 4 people who make up who you are.
Okay.
Your mother's mother, your mother's father, your father's mother, and your father's father.
Right.
All 4 of them are in you.
Okay.
We've looked at your mother's mother and your father's father. The other 2 grandparents may be African, but we didn't look at them.
You got me really confused now. Okay. All right. No, I understand. No,
Oh, okay, good.
I'm not so confused.
So the third test you
I'm walking out of here and
took.
voting Donald Trump.
Listen, everyone.
No. You can't do that. So the third test you took is not specific to one branch of the tree or the other. It looked at your entire genetic family tree. So we were seeing how much European ancestry does he have, if any? How much African ancestry does he have, if
Right.
any? How much indigenous ancestry does he have, if any? And so we have those results.
Right. And I got a segment of my family out there that's like, look, just take those 2 and leave
And
well
stop
enough alone.
now.
Right. So you got to remember, our DNA, we have different segments, different chunks that are inherited differently. So we've shown you your maternally inherited mitochondrial DNA, European lineage, right?
Okay.
We've shown you your Y chromosome paternally inherited segment, which is also European.
Okay.
So now we're looking at all your other chromosomes and to average out what's your proportion of European, what's your proportion of West African, what's your proportion of Native American.
Right.
All right, that's what we're about to give you now.
Okay.
So you have to understand that this is just an average, okay, number one, and it represents a mixture of everybody.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
You want me to do it? I'm on a roll.
All right.
He's going to end up loving you and hating me now. Okay. So, when we looked at your admixture, that's our test that's called My DNA Mix. We found that 80% of your family tree, if you will, your genetic family tree, has European ancestry. The other 20% of your genetic family tree is African.
You just disappointed a whole bunch. I'm all right. with that.
So he's 80-20, everyone.
So
So you do have African
Right.
ancestry.
Uh-huh.
You do have more than one drop.
More than one drop.
More than one, because 20% of your DNA is African.
Umgawa.
so can I be frank with you? Right?
Listen,
Be very frank.
Okay. So when we look at these numbers and we turn them around, the average African American has about 80% West African, 20% European. But yours is the opposite.
Flip.
Yeah. So you're 20% West African, 80% European. And based on what you said about your family history, where you grew up, it's not really surprising. I mean, I do know a little bit about that area of Maryland, and so it's interesting. You have a very interesting family history, and it's reflected in your DNA. The thing that I want you to think about this, because it goes back several generations, it didn't start with you, okay?
Right.
So if you have 80% European ancestry, that means that you got 40% of that from your mother and 40% from your father. Okay? For you to have 80. 40 from her, 40 from him.
Right.
And if they gave you half of what they have, that means that they both were 80%. Do you understand what I'm saying? So both of your parents look just like you in a sense genetically, in terms of having significant European ancestry.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So I'll say this one more time, just so you can really understand. So if you're 80%, 40% of that came from your mother,
Right.
40% from your father, which is half of what they had. So that means that they were 80% European also.
Right.
And so it goes back to their parents, which are your grandparents. And so it's interesting how in certain communities, African American communities around the country, in particular on the East Coast, there's this light-skinned sort of preference that occurs with certain families.
Oh, certainly.
And so you see, your parents probably look similar in terms of skin color to you and your grandparents.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like it maintains that proportion across generations. Okay, it maintains it.
Because you're attracted to people who look like you.
You heard what he said?
So then you
Multi-generational,
maintains.
maintains.
Are attracted or look similar, then they produce offspring that look like them, and then those offspring are attracted to people who look like them.
Right.
Okay. I see.
So because some people wonder, how can we maintain such high levels of European ancestry in certain families? It's because of the mate preference. They, the parents preferred each other. They both were from a similar sort of genetic background and probably social economic background, and then they, so that's maintained. I just think that's really interesting.
Yeah. So do I. So
Okay, all right. So let me show you something real quick if I can find it. Let me see. Okay, so you heard what Dr. Kittles said, right? Now, I forget the young lady's name. I don't want to discredit her. She's co-owner of the company. But anyway, our original ancestors, phenotype. Again, I'm all about the education because remember, initially I was going to be an anthropologist. I still have an interest in it. I'm an autodidactic learner or researcher when it comes to anthropological studies. I still love the discipline. It's just I decided to pursue a master's degree that was more marketable than an anthropology degree. But it still didn't stop me from researching anthropology. These are the original Africans that were brought here during chattel slavery, right? Very dark skin, dark eyes, and 4C hair. There was no blue eyes, green eyes, gradations of light skin and loose textured hair. I don't know why people keep saying that as false information. So again, you can't controvert research. There's no shades here. They're pretty homologous, or homogeneous. When you look at them, they're pretty homogeneous, right? Like I don't see any heterogeneity in our original ancestors in terms of their morphology, their phenotypes. I don't see it. Do you? I don't see it anywhere. So I don't understand why this is hard for people to understand. I think a lot of times certain individuals, they don't want to admit it, but because unfortunately the history of racism with Afrocentric features, a lot of times people are not proud of African features. They prefer to use mixed race features as a representation of blackness because many people, can't say all, but many people consider mixed race features more palatable to the eye, more acceptable, has cross cultural appeal. Other cultures don't mind mixed race features because it's less threatening to them. It's closer to them. So unfortunately, a lot of our Black brothers and sisters will espouse that mindset, that paradigmatic view or belief system, thinking that mixed race features is somehow better than pure Black sub-Saharan Africans. You know what they do? Some people lie and say, oh, see, we come in all colors. No, you don't. Sorry. I don't know what other way of putting that. I'm trying to be very tactful and blunt at the same time, but that's not true. You don't come in all colors. And when people bring up the Khoisan people are not really light skinned. They're like a lighter brown, but they're kind of an isolated group. But some research shows that their genetic markers, even though they're considered the oldest or one of the oldest groups or tribes in Africa, but the latest research shows that their genetic markers, their DNA sequencing is very similar to Southern Italians and Spaniards. Yes. So a lot of researchers are kind of puzzled by that. They're not sure if they're multi-generational mix that engaged in endogamy practices, meaning married within their own, as opposed to exogamy, meaning marrying without or marrying out. When people usually are tribes or certain cultures, especially it's known in the Indian culture, they have a caste system, right? So a lot of times they call it hypergamy, when you're marrying up, and hypogamy is marrying down, right? So sometimes, unfortunately, some cultures, because of discrimination and God knows what else is mixed in there, will marry a lighter skinned person because they consider that to be hypergamy. I'm marrying up, I'm improving the race. This has been quoted by many researchers and anthropologists. And then hypogamy will be the opposite, marrying down. So they try not to marry down, but the person that is lighter skin, their families often see it as hypogamy for their relatives because they're marrying someone as darker. They consider that in some cultures as hypogamy, marrying down, not marrying up, which is hypergamy. Well, anyway, some cultures, in Africa in particular, engage in endogamy. They kind of stay within their own people, kind of marry each other. Some of it may be incestuous, but they marry each other because they want to maintain a certain bloodline, right? A certain phenotype and maybe socioeconomic status, a lot of different variables, right? And then there's some groups that, because maybe they come from an indigent background, want to marry, again, hypergamous relationships, where they want to marry up. So guess what? They engage in exogamy. They marry outside of their tribe or their race or ethnicity. So that's a very real thing. But going back to what I said before is that the Khoisan people, their genetic markers, according to researchers, are very similar to Southern Italians and Spaniards. So some researchers are not sure what that means, but they are lighter brown, but they still have beautiful people, by the way, but they have very tight coiled hair like what you see here. It's not loose and silky. They don't have blue and green eyes. And again, for those that are, denialists, that are pushing, the falsity that, some black sub-Saharan people can have blue eyes, that is false information. If they have blue eyes, they're either the following: mixed race, which can be, biracial, and or multi-generational, known as atavism. They can also have one out of the 4 types of ocular cutaneous albinism. And the last one is Waardenburg syndrome, which is disproportionately high in West Africa. Because West Africa has 16 countries, right? Well, it's disproportionately high in Ghana, I believe Nigeria, those countries. And researchers cannot figure out why that syndrome / disease is disproportionately high in that specific geographic region. But it causes hypercolorized eyes, blue eyes, and then there's a subvariant, as I mentioned before, heterochromia, where there's one blue eye and brown eye, which is heterochromia iridum. And then they have another variant, which is heterochromia iridis, where you have 2 blue eyes with brown pigments, and then you have the reversal, brown eyes with blue pigment. That's a syndrome, it's a disease, and they usually have neurological problems like vision issues, hearing issues. Sometimes they have hypopigmentation of the skin, which is similar to vitiligo or albinism. Sometimes they have a blonde forelock in the frontal lobe. And sometimes their facial morphology reminds me of people that are Siamese twins. The bridge of the nose is kind of like wide, and the eyes are kind of set far from one another. So you have to look at some photos. Now, again, on a scale, some people with Waardenburg syndrome don't have the morphological facial features that I was just talking about. Some have a very normal facial profile, but then they have other characteristics. The blue eyes I was mentioning before, hearing problems, vision issues, hypopigmentation. It's a scale. Some people manifest all the characteristics on a scale. Others may manifest 2 or 3. It just depends, but it's an actual syndrome. It has nothing to do with the Eve gene, so please rid that from your minds. That's a bunch of nonsense. Many doctors, physicians have debunked that Eve gene nonsense. And again, I go by credentialed people. If you don't have a master's, a PhD, an MD, I don't want to hear it. I don't. Because those are credentialed people, meaning that, they went through rigors of higher education, passed all the requirements, and earned their diploma or certification, licensure, and degree. And now, guess what? They're licensed to practice whatever discipline that is. I listen to those people because, as I mentioned before, when you're credentialed and you have research under your belt, you have the, plenary power to change public policy and law. People's individualistic opinions don't mean anything. They're derisory. They're Lilliputian. They have no weight, no credibility, and no clout to change anything. In Congress, as I mentioned in a previous video, because I've learned this through my current master's program, which is Criminal Justice Legal Studies, is a law degree in criminal justice, I learned that Congress frequently or periodically confer with the ABA, which is the American Bar Association, incepted in 1847, and the AMA, the American Medical Association, which was incepted in 1878. Congress periodically confers with both associations when it comes to research. And a lot of the laws and, acts that get passed or ratified by the president are research based, that come from empirical research, statistics, data. Yes. So research, ladies and gentlemen, it exists for a very good reason, or reasons. It exists because it has the power, the plenary power, as I mentioned, to change public policy and law. Your opinion doesn't mean anything. It's like walking into a courtroom before a judge or magistrate and averring a case based on your personal opinions. They don't care about that. You know what they're going to ask you? Are you credentialed? And once you meet that criteria, do you have research? No, I don't. Well, I'm sorry. That's just your opinion. I need research because guess what? Research are conducted not only by credentialed people, but they use certified and approved evaluative instruments to measure a specific group of people. Right? So whether it's a cross-sectional, longitudinal research, deductive, inductive, the research designs that are evaluated by credentialed, approved instruments that measure content validity and reliability, just so you know. So opinions don't mean anything to me. Sorry. And coming from, a legal background, I can tell you, they don't mean shit. I'm just going to be very blunt. They don't mean jack shit because guess what? It has no power to change anything. Maybe in some people's delusional minds, but I don't care about your delusional minds. I'm talking about, the larger population. I'm talking about research that can affect the quality of life for certain populations, especially marginalized and minoritized groups of people. That's who I'm focusing on. Opinions don't mean shit because it can't change a damn thing. So I'm done with that. Let's see. I want to cover my current master's program because some people were asking about GCU. So let me just go to, hold on. I think this is it here. Oops, hold on. So I'm currently working on my second master's, which is criminal justice legal studies. And this is just my student portal. And I just want all of you to know, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying it's facts, just from my experience thus far being in the program. Now I started the program 2024, October 2024, excuse me, and I just finished my fourth class. So my next class will be research, and well, maybe I can show you on here. Just give me a second. Let me think. Oh no, I gotta do something. I don't feel like I have to sign out and sign back in. I don't feel like doing all that. Well, oh, excuse me. These are my class assignments. There's a total of 8 topics, which you can see right there in the corner, right here. 8 topics. And you can see my grades, all juicy, delicious A's. And this is my final grade at the top, 98, right there at the top. That's my final grade. So hopefully the grade is going to post in the next week or so. Excuse me. But my next class is going to be research, criminal justice research. And when I'm done with that class, I'll be 50% done with the program. I cannot believe I'm saying that. 50% done with the program. That's crazy how fast it went. So I anticipate graduating next April. So April 2026, I should be done with my master's in criminal justice legal studies. And I'm very proud because it's an intense program. As you know, anything dealing with laws and policy, oh my God, insane. Excuse me, the amount, of course, I'm starting to cough now when I'm live. I'm sorry, excuse me, everyone. I cannot believe all the laws and policies and the nuances of the laws, like, and they keep changing, like they add things, delete things, like it's insane. Like you gotta definitely be on top of your game. And I see why attorneys get paid the big bucks, because you gotta know your shit. It makes sense to me now. Like when attorneys charge $500 an hour, sometimes $1,000 an hour, some people may say, oh, that's a little outrageous. It's, hyperbole. Like really, why would you be charging that amount of money per hour? But now going through this program, and this is, I can't practice law with this, but I can definitely work for the FBI. I can do criminal justice legal work. For example, sometimes agencies have legal departments, and I can definitely, work in that capacity and confer with attorneys that have JDs on legal matters because I have a law degree. I just cannot practice with it because it's not a JD. So there's different types of law degrees, right? There's JDs, there's a JM, a Juris Masters, which I may pursue after this program here. I'm thinking about going for a third master's. I'm not sure yet. And there's an LLM, like a master's in legal studies. I'm sorry, MLS. There's different types of law degrees. But in order to practice as an attorney, you need a JD, right? But again, sometimes people just want the legal background like me, but they necessarily don't want to practice as an attorney because to me, it's a lot of headaches, and I don't know if that's something I want to do. It's what I've seen throughout the years in the courts. I mean, I do enjoy legal stuff, but it's very stressful, and a lot of these attorneys are burned out. Yes, they make great money, but they're not enjoying their life because they just work 24/7, kind of like a doctor. I don't know if I want to be on call 24/7. That's not really for me. But so far in this program, I absolutely love it. Now, my associate's degree is from Niagara County Community College. Let me flip this over. It's from Niagara County Community College. And now they rebranded themselves as SUNY Niagara. So anyway, what you see on the wall there, my associate's degree is in human services, right? And I went to school, which is the conventional way, when you go to school, whatever. But now there's a thing known as asynchronous learning, which I'm going to talk about GCU in a second. My bachelor's degree is from Buffalo State University. It's in social work. And my master's degree is from Niagara University. It's a Master of Science in Education and School Counseling. Those degrees I earned synchronously, if you can say it that way, conventionally. I went to school, right? That's not for me right now. Like, it served its time, but online has become like the big thing. And I'll tell you why. It's because some people that are busy, that have different things going on, may not always be able to just go to school. I'm talking about like make a physical appearance because we've got different things going on. And because I'm taking care of my father who has Alzheimer's and dementia, It's not always easy. He's, always forgetting things. So I always have to redirect him. That's a lot of work in itself, right? So I cannot afford to go to a physical institution, I'm talking about higher education, academia, and go to school because my father needs me. So I asked myself, what can I do? Because I love being in school. How can I go back to school and still be able to care for my father? Well, I explored online learning, which is asynchronous learning, right? And I'll be honest with you, initially I had some reservations thinking, I don't know if this is for me because, again, I'm programmed to be in a classroom. Boy, was I wrong. I absolutely love asynchronous learning. It's not for everyone. Some people, want to be seen and they want to be in the classroom and other reasons too. Again, more power to you. But I can only speak for myself. Asynchronous learning is amazing. And I'll tell you why. Because, for example, like this winter, we had a pretty mild winter, right? But there were certain days where I was having back problems. My dad was having one of his mental health episodes. And I thought to myself, if I had to go to school right now, it wouldn't work because my back was killing me. My dad needed me. I would have to drop out of school because I can't abandon my father. And that's when I really realized, you're talking about having an epiphany, right? That's when I really realized how invaluable online learning is. Because in spite of all those things that I mentioned, the aforementioned, I was still able to attend class, complete my assignments without deviation, and earn GCAs. Now, if I were to go to school the conventional way, it's questionable because, again, my back was killing me. My dad was having some mental health issues. I don't know if I would have went to school that day. And if I had back-to-back courses consecutive, like let's say I'm supposed to show up one day and the next day I have another class, I would have missed out on 2 or 3 days because of my back situation and my father, the issues that my father was experiencing. So I realized that traditional, conventional learning does not work for me. Maybe when I was in my 20s, but now in my 50s, it doesn't work. This online is amazing, especially if you're a working person, you're a single parent, or even if you're married, you got your hands full. Online is a way to go because you could be in your PJs, go to school. They can't see you. Some people they could be nude. I know it's a little TMI, but my point is, it doesn't matter what's going on in your home as long as you log in and do your assignments. See, this is why I love asynchronous learning. So, and it's also cheaper too, like saving on gas. Gas is expensive, right? If I have to get up and go to school, even if it's down the road, that's gas, time. Who has time for all that nonsense? No, I want to keep my life very simple. This is why I say asynchronous learning is the way to go. Now, with that being said, these certificates that you see here, I have a total of 18, right? And people were asking me like, how'd you earn them? You earn them so fast is because it's called online. Again, remember, you can do multiple courses at once because it's online, right? As long as you turn in the assignments. And some people were asking me, are the classes free? Because again, there's misinformation that's floating around. That's why I try to tell people, you should always do your due diligence and read, research. Don't go by face value or prima facie. No, don't go by initial this, that. I want you to dig deep, Mariana Trench deep, and research something before you come to a conclusion. This is what happens. This is why a lot of times, people are failing school. They're not passing their entrance exams. Is because they're going by surface stuff that often are incorrect. They're not doing the research. They're just going by what they saw on some illustrations, on some photos, and a couple, little, what do you call it, telegraphic speech language on there, instead of like reading the whole thing and to draw a conclusion based on reading everything. They just go by like little bits and pieces, splices of information, and draw an erroneous, premature, erroneous conclusion. At the end, it hurts them because now they're taking that false information, applying it to certain situations, and failing miserably. So I try to tell people is, reading is free, like for the most part. You can open up a book and go to the library. It doesn't cost you anything. But it's your choice. There's a thing known as an autodidactic learner or researcher. You can learn things on your own. As long as you're considered a sui juris, meaning that you can do things on your own independently without someone, holding you by the hand, then yes, what's stopping you from going to the library? What's stopping you from opening up Google? Like, there's different things you can explore to enhance your human capital, to elevate your knowledge base. So that's what I want to say about GCU. It's a great experience. And with my certificates that you see on the wall, people were asking, are they free? And the question is no, they're not free. So hear me out when I say this. So when you go to, let me flip the camera. All right. Let me see what comes up. Oh, that's not, hold on. That's a wrong X. My bad. So this is a class that I took, medical terminology from Doan's University. It was hard as hell. Here's my certificate because I passed. You need a 70 to pass. I scored a 93. Now that class, I had to sequester myself. I couldn't be distracted by anything. I had to take really good notes. It was hard as hell. I thought it was. I mean, these are college classes now. So it's not like, you're getting a truncated class and the easy way out. No, they're normal college, upper level college courses. But I didn't want to be clear on something. When you see the certificate here on the right, that's illuminated in red, you only can earn a certificate, which you see on my wall, if you pay for the class. There's two versions. There's a free abridged version of the syllabus, which kind of gives you just a compendious idea of what the class is all about. But then there is an unabridged version, which that's where the certificate comes in. It's the full syllabus, all the exams, which you see here. I want to show you real quick. The quizzes, exams, the videos. I'm telling you, it's a lot of work. See, it's like a normal class that I'm taking at GCU. And once you pass, in this particular class, 70 is the threshold, you earn a certificate. It's a real certificate. So it's not free. I want to just make that clear. I want to dispel those rumors that some people are saying, oh, it's a free class. No, it is not. If you want to earn a certificate, you got to pay for it. I always tell people not to be jocular here, but it's not welfare day. You got to pay for it. So let me give you an idea of some other potential classes so you see what I'm talking about. Here's a dashboard. Okay, so these are all the different subject areas, right? So let's just explore. So you can explore law or take some classes in law, food and nutrition, data science, computer science, math, architecture, education and teacher training, medicine, business management. So let me just focus on law because that's what I'm interested in. Okay. So these are all different courses, right? So let me just, I don't think I have the certificate yet. I'm not sure. Okay, now look, see this here? That's $536, right? You can earn a certificate. Now this is for 4 months, is 4 courses. And the reason why, I just did some research, the reason why online can offer certificates at an affordable rate is because it's asynchronous. They're all pre-recorded videos. So think about it. All you got to do, if I'm a professor, design the class, the syllabus, render all of my pre-recordings and my tests, the exams and the quizzes, and that's it. You don't really have to do much because it's already programmed into the system. So this is why they're able to attract thousands of enrollees, including myself. But you see, it's not free. But for 4 classes, that's actually not bad for $536, because if it was a traditional, like what I'm doing at GCU, no, for 4 classes, that would be, let me see, 25, that'll be about $10,000, just so you know. So what I love about the EDX online learning is they're affordable and they're real certificates. So again, they're not free. So let me just go back and look at some other things and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so this one here I completed, contract law. Oh, I would recommend this for anyone that's into, law. If you have an affinity for law, I would strongly recommend. Look at all the enrollees, 622,000. Okay, now I already earned the certificate because I passed the course. I'm trying to get to the screen where it shows. Oh, hold on for a second, everyone. I don't know if it's going to show it. Because I already took the class. Okay, that's one of the professors. Okay, the course. Let me see if it shows. Advance your career. Hold on. Sorry about this, everyone. Okay, here it is. This is what I was talking about. Everyone watch. This is for the certificate. See where it says right there, earn a certificate. This is the full syllabus. So it's $300. This is the free version, but it's not the full syllabus, and you don't earn a certificate. And trust me, when I say an abridged version, it is definitely the epitome of an abridged version. It is completely different from this one here. I will say to myself, damn, they're so dissimilar. And I'm like, I see why, because if you want to earn a certificate, you have to do the full syllabus. Like, it's a full course. This right here is just, to me, like a little teaser, just to kind of give you an idea of what it's like. But this right here is the real deal. But you can see, in order to earn a certificate, you have to pay for it. This right here, you earn no certificate. So let me just flip the camera back over. So this is why I was saying to everyone that's watching this video, listen, I don't have the answers for everything. Obviously, I love higher education. I am, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm a maven when it comes to higher education. I love learning. I love growing, because knowledge, they say, is power. The precept, knowledge is power, is very true. When you're educated, it opens up a lot of doors. You're able to explore many places and spaces that before were, let's say, maybe not available to you, inaccessible. Yes, that's what education does. It has the plenary power to change public policy and law. Opinions don't mean shit. Just saying, right? So this is why I tell people, if you want to improve your life, ameliorate, it starts with opening up a book, reading, and not taking little shortcuts and little cheat sheets. And no, reading the whole thing. Don't be indolent. Don't be lazy. Read the whole thing, because that's how you grow. You can miss out on one paragraph, and that one paragraph can totally throw you out of orbit. Just that one voided piece of information, that lacuna of information, could make or break you. It can make a difference in terms of your comprehension of the material, or the polar opposite. Just that one lacuna of information. This is why I tell people is, you need to always read everything, even though sometimes you don't feel like reading. Take breaks if you need to, but in order to be successful, you need to read everything. Not just read what you want to read to serve serve a narrative, belief system, or paradigmatic view. No. Read because you want to grow intellectually, spiritually, personally, professionally. So that's all I have to say. I think I'm done. As I mentioned before, as long as my health doesn't give me any issues, I am thinking about pursuing a third master's degree after this juicy, delicious master's that I'm working on. Criminal Justice Legal Studies. Again, I love the program, and I've learned a lot about laws, administrative, case/common, constitutional, statutory, the model rules of professional conduct. The, what's the other one? Model code of judicial conduct. Yes. Section 455, Title 28, when it comes to Supreme Court judges. Yeah, there's a lot of things. I'll tell you, knowledge is power. Because remember, judges and attorneys are bound by the compulsory, peremptory canons of public law or public policy and law. They're bound by it. They can't deviate it. If they do, then that could become a legal issue for them. They can be reprimanded and sometimes be disbarred. Just saying. So, knowledge is power. Continue reading, enhancing your human capital, and you'll see the difference. You become a better speaker, a better writer. You can access, again, places and spaces that before maybe you were kind of diffident in accessing, kind of reticent, kind of shy, reserved. But now, hey, stop. But now, sorry, just my cat. Get away from there. But now, with education, you can walk into that room with the utmost pride and certitude, knowing that if anybody approaches you about a given topic, that you can hold your own. That is the beauty of being educated, being conversant and a maven in your discipline. So have a blessed day, everyone. We'll talk soon, and I hope that you were inspired by this video. But again, knowledge is power. Bye-bye.